This is one of the cases that remain in mind of the surgeon. This was only one eye patient that lost the other eye during the war in Yugoslavia and arrived to our attention after being sutured in another hospital. And the problem in this case is that we don't have any real knowledge of the situation of the eye inside, because the echography said there are only subchoroidal hemorrhage. The TAC said there is a big foreign body. So what we have to do is to create the spaces in the anterior chamber, just to put an infusion and to be able to work. So the first thing that we did was to put this prosthesis, and then to put some viscoelastic substance to create a new anatomical space to perform this infusion. Then we drainage the subchoroidal hemorrhage, just to create also another space. So we have to walk little by little from the cornea to the retina. But the anatomy inside the eyes is completely changed. We have a lot of fibrosis. All the blood has created new membranes, and we have to break this to pass over this membrane. And the suggestion is to do this in the nasal quadrant. So in case of damage to the retina, we don't create any damage to the macula. So we create a little hole in this big and stiff membrane, and after removing the hemorrhage inside this membrane that is so stiff, we found finally the retina. And the retina is not so bad. We find also this big foreign body. And how to remove it? We decided to remove it from the cornea. So it was not logical to create another break on the sclera to remove it when we have already a prosthesis that we can move and then reuse it. And then we have to dedicate it to the retina and to the other foreign bodies that we can find. For example, these eye flashes. This is one. Eye flashes, yes. This one, and it should be another one. And you see the retinotomy we have been obliged to do to permit to the retina to recover its normal position. And when we make this kind of retinotomy, we have to stay where the retina is sane, is not fibrotic. Otherwise, we will have another reaction on the board of the retinotomy. We remove also all the subretinal membranes, and at the end we put perfluorocarbonate. After perfluorocarbonate, we will perform 360-degree laser. This spatula is important for me because you can destroy all the strands that you can have on the retinotomy that you perform. Sometimes there are some fibrosis reaction. Then we make a perfluorocarbonate silicone oil injection. And after this, as I told you, 360-degree and the photocoagulation. And now we put a new cornea. And at the end, we put some viscoelastic substance to maintain a separation between the silicone oil and the cornea that we use. This is just to say that these cases, fortunately, are not so common, but when they happen, you have to know what to do, starting for the cornea down to the retina. Okay, thanks.
May I ask you something?
Parla piano, che io capisco.
Okay. Why you choose to do the Lander's lens before le sclerotomie? Perché hai fatto prima il secondo?
Because,
And second,
sì.
why didn't you put the cornea with a perfluoro inside and then do exchange? It will be easier, I think.
The first question is why I decide to put beside, because I needed to create an anatomy, a space where I was able to see where the infusion was, and not to have the infusion under the retina or under all those membranes. And the second is because I usually perform, it was what I do usually, I usually perform this change before the cornea transplantation because I don't need any changement of movement on the endothelium of the cornea. It's my habitude.
Posso farti una domanda, una questione di principio. Tu preferisci fare una sostituzione di cornea che non un'apertura grande in pars plana per estrarre?
In questo caso,
No,
in questo caso.
Massima.
No, in linea di massima dipende
molto. In questo caso
molto.
aveva una cornea trasparente.
No, la cornea non era trasparente, era completamente opaca e ho dovuto usare una protesi temporanea. I used a temporary prosthesis, una ECARO, temporary protection. The cornea was completely opacified.
Only a question. I agree with you with the time of surgery to having the exchange and at the end the corneal transplantation for the fluidic inside the eye. But I think that it's more difficult to have corneal transplantation with silicone oil instead of perfluorocarbon. At all, in my cases that I have operated, all these in this kind of surgery, in this kind of trauma, all the corneal transplant will opacicize in few months. And you have to remove and substitute the cornea for the second time.
I prefer to change under silicone oil because if the silicone oil is lighter than the water, so it helps me when I make the surgery. And second, because if I have some problem with pressure, I can put more silicone oil, and so I have much more pressure in the eye. Using the perfluorocarbonate, not, because the fluorocarbonate is like water, so there is not pressure.
That's right.
And the other thing is, in this case, I couldn't do anything than make a cornea transplantation because the cornea of the patient was completely done, and it was the only eye he had. And in my opinion, he remained in this patient that I follow for many time, for a long time. He remained at 1 year. After the cornea transplantation, it was clear. But this because
with the silicone oil inside.
was because the silicone oil was not able to reach the surface, the endothelium, so there was not a touch. And basing also for in the experience that we had when I was in Monza and later in Bergamo, also the patient that have silicone oil in touch with the endothelium, until there is this touch, the cornea is transplanted. When you remove the oil, the cornea become opacified. Perché in pratica l'olio di silicone impedisce all'acqua di entrare a contatto con l'endotelio e quindi la mantiene trasparente.
Il diaframma di aria non l'ho mai usato? Eventualmente mettere un diaframma di aria?
Lì non ci avrei mai pensato.
Ok. Posso fare una domanda al professor Di Molfetta?
Allora,
Una domanda a lei, perché ha introdotto, how to remove, ha introdotto come rimuovere un corpo estraneo, how remove a foreign body. Se qualcuno preferisce allargare una sclerotomia o passare in camera anteriore. If somebody prefers to enlarge the sclerotomy or do it from anterior segment.
no, può essere utile, anzi, può essere preferibile passare da camera anteriore nel caso che c'è il cristallino alterato già e quindi ci deve operare o con un cristallino sospensione, però da camera anteriore è un conto, senza sacrificare la cornea. Se la cornea fosse trasparente, io preferisco dire la plasmana. Se invece c'è necessità di fare un trapianto, il trapianto sa sostituire una cornea